The idea that our growing population is doomed by inadequate food supply has circulated since Malthus's era. This book argues that reality is far less dire. While media often hype crises with misinformation, a close look reveals progress rooted in small, effective changes rather than disruptive technology. For instance, instead of focusing on imagined global famine, the real challenge lies in addressing massive food waste. By understanding the true scale of current food production, currently allowing 3,000 kcal per person daily, we can better appreciate practical solutions over alarmist forecasts. Instead of radical food revolution, this work champions incremental improvements and scientific realities about agriculture and nutrition. It questions the sustainability of trendy solutions like lab-grown meat or a techno-vegan utopia, advocating a balanced approach to food consumption. Additionally, the text scrutinizes the romanticized view of organic farming, reminding readers of its labor-intensive past. By embracing numerical evidence, we can navigate myths and gain a clearer understanding of agriculture's role today, paving the way for a more informed, sustainable future without succumbing to fear or false promises. Agriculture emerged as a vital response to our growing population. With humans spreading across the planet, the ancient methods of foraging and hunting became inadequate. Early societies turned to cultivating crops and domesticating animals to support increased population densities. These changes marked a significant shift, allowing humans to settle and form communities. Agriculture reshaped how we lived, fostered technological advances, and contributed to a stable food supply. This shift wasn't immediate but evolved gradually, primarily driven by necessity and survival. Early hominins subsisted on a varied omnivorous diet similar to chimpanzees, which included vegetables, invertebrates, and scavenged meat. These diets sustained small groups, but the limited food sources and competition in their environments kept populations in check. This method was energy-intensive and required constant movement in search of food, restricting social development. As populations grew, the need for a reliable and consistent food source became apparent, highlighting the limitations of a hunter-gatherer lifestyle and paving the way for agricultural practices. Migration and environmental changes necessitated sustainable food solutions. The domestication of plants and animals allowed societies to settle and thrive. Initially, people complemented farming with foraging. Gradually, agriculture became the dominant food source. This transition provided stability and allowed for the storage of surplus food, which was crucial during harsh conditions. Importantly, sedentary agricultural practices permitted the development of complex societies, organized governance, and technological innovation, something foraging couldn't achieve on a large scale. Climate shifts and environmental changes played pivotal roles in the advent of agriculture. Warmer climates and increased atmospheric CO2 made certain areas more fertile, facilitating crop cultivation. This enabled agricultural societies to flourish where previously they couldn't. Changes in climate often forced adaptive responses in human societies, transitioning from nomadic living to settled agriculture. These adaptations furthered evolution, allowing societies to exploit favorable conditions, creating abundant food supplies and fueling population growth. Agriculture's evolution was spurred by numerous innovations. Advanced toolmaking and the development of new farming techniques revolutionized food production. Farmers began experimenting with crop rotation and soil management strategies like irrigation and fertilization, massively improving yields. These innovations not only supported larger populations but also led to surplus production, strengthening trade and allowing societies to focus on endeavors beyond mere survival. These agricultural strides laid the groundwork for the complex economies and technological advances seen today. Agriculture enabled populations to expand beyond the confines of hunter-gatherer societies. As food became more accessible and abundant, more people could be sustained on smaller parcels of land. This transformation paved the way for the establishment of villages, towns, and eventually cities. Settlements became the cradle of civilization, fostering advancements in arts, science, and governance. The permanent nature of agricultural societies encouraged deeper community bonds and social structures that underpin modern society. Had humanity not embraced agriculture, our development would be starkly different. Various alternative diets proposed, such as intensified foraging or meat-based diets, were insufficient in sustaining large populations. The advantages of stable food supplies and surplus storage became apparent, showcasing agriculture as the only viable option for large-scale human development. Without these innovations, high-density urban areas and the sophisticated societies we know today would not have been possible, highlighting agriculture's indispensable role in human evolution. Understanding human dietary requirements highlights why agriculture was essential. Calories from macronutrients, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, became necessary for sustaining human energy levels. Farming provided a concentrated and reliable source of these nutrients, replacing the inconsistent and labor-intensive process of foraging. The stability provided by agriculture meant communities could focus on advancing technology, culture, and societies rather than subsistence, showcasing its importance in propelling human progress and meeting the growing energy demands of an expanding population. Cereal grains became the cornerstone of agricultural societies due to their adaptability and nutritive value. Grains like wheat, corn, and rice provided essential carbohydrates and could be easily stored, ensuring food across seasons. Other crops and domesticated animals supported dietary diversification, but grains remained staple foods for societies worldwide. The cultivation of these grains allowed unprecedented population growth and urbanization, enabling the complex societal structures we see today. Grains fueled every aspect of human advancement, from economic development to cultural achievements. Agriculture's legacy is seen across every facet of modern life, from the sprawling metropolises to the global economy. Its impact on civilization is profound, serving as the foundation for cultural, technological, and societal evolution. We owe our complex societies and diverse cultures to the agricultural practices developed thousands of years ago. As we move towards an uncertain future shaped by global challenges, understanding agriculture's transformative power and continuing its innovation remains critical to sustaining and advancing human civilization. Despite a diverse plant kingdom, humans rely heavily on a mere handful of species for sustenance. Just 20 species account for 75% of the world's crops, with rice and wheat providing over a third of global caloric intake. This phenomenon is a result of domestication, where plants were selectively bred to meet human needs. Over time, this led to a limited variety of nutrient-rich crops, like grains and tubers that can grow abundantly and be stored easily. These staples are essential for providing the majority of caloric energy needed by billions. Domestication involves selecting and cultivating wild species that best serve human needs. This process has historically relied on trial and error, but modern genetics now offers deeper insights. Traits like grain retention and improved taste and size are among the most significant changes in cultivated plants. These adaptations allow for easier harvesting and greater yield. With domesticated varieties, survival largely depends on human care, distinguishing them from their wild ancestors. This scientific endeavor continues to refine crop plants, ensuring they meet dietary demands globally. The development of staple crops like wheat, rice, and maize has been pivotal for human civilization. These cereals are energy-dense, easily stored, and have become the backbone of diets worldwide. Their reliable yields supported growing populations and enabled the establishment of early cities and societies. Archaeological discoveries show domestication of these staples across different regions, each contributing uniquely to local diets. From the Yangtze's rice paddies to wheat fields in the Fertile Crescent, staple crops laid the foundation for complex cultures and trade. While our diet's reliance on cereals offers energy efficiency, it also creates nutritional challenges. Grains primarily provide carbohydrates but lack complete protein profiles and essential fats. This is where leguminous grains like beans and lentils make their mark, compensating for cereal deficiencies. Their protein-rich content complements cereal-based diets, creating balanced nutrition. Historic societies inadvertently discovered this beneficial combination, leading to diverse culinary traditions. Yet, despite these advantages, over-reliance on grains can limit dietary diversity, emphasizing the importance of varied and balanced meals. Over the centuries, humans have developed innovative solutions to maximize crop yields and storability. Methods of drying, milling, and storing grains have advanced from rudimentary granaries to sophisticated silos. Such technologies minimize loss and support global distribution of staple foods. Mechanized agriculture has revolutionized planting and harvesting, increasing food availability. However, traditional practices still persist in many regions, highlighting the diverse ways communities adapt to their environments. These adaptations ensure a stable food supply, even in challenging climates and circumstances. The widespread cultivation of a limited number of crops presents both environmental and social implications. Monocultures can lead to soil degradation and loss of biodiversity, while agricultural runoff affects ecosystems. On a social level, staple crops have driven industrial growth and urbanization, yet they have also been linked to social stratification and dependency on agribusiness. Adopting sustainable practices can alleviate these issues, suggesting a need for greater agricultural diversity and environmental stewardship to safeguard the future of food production. The spread of staple crops is deeply intertwined with cultural evolution and economic development. Grains supported the labor demands of burgeoning empires and fueled global trade routes. Historical records from ancient Egypt to imperial China highlight the central role of grains in cultural practices and economies. Grain surpluses facilitated the rise of specialized professions and technological advances, with milling and transportation at the heart of economic exchanges. Despite modern challenges, cereals continue to be powerful symbols of subsistence and prosperity. Grains remain the cornerstone of contemporary diets, reflected in the mass-scale production of bread, pasta, and cereals. These versatile foods adapt to various cuisines, offering easily accessible and affordable nutrition. While processed grains can contribute to health issues like obesity if overconsumed, they are also sources of essential nutrients when fortified. The ongoing challenge is balancing the convenience and low cost of grains with the benefits of maintaining diverse and nutrient-rich diets. Awareness and education play key roles in promoting healthier eating habits. Despite their significance, grains have faced criticism for being linked to health problems and environmental concerns. Some claim that high-starch diets foster diseases, affecting public perception. Additionally, monoculture practices raise issues of sustainability and ecological damage. These controversies highlight the complex interplay between food production, health, and environmental ethics. While the critiques stimulate important discussions, it's vital to consider scientific evidence and seek balanced solutions that respect cultural dietary practices while addressing global dietary challenges. Looking ahead, agricultural practices must evolve to meet the demands of a growing population and changing climate. Innovations in genetic engineering, sustainable methods, and crop diversification are at the forefront of addressing these challenges. Emphasizing local crops and traditional varieties can enhance resilience and nutritional profiles, promoting healthier ecosystems. Understanding the historical context of domesticated staple crops provides insights into sustainable future pathways, encouraging a harmonious balance between human needs and planetary health. This ensures that food systems can support both nutrition and biodiversity for generations to come. Photosynthesis is the basis for all the food we consume, yet it's surprisingly inefficient. Despite being vital for plant growth, the process struggles to convert much of the solar energy it receives into usable plant mass. Numerous external factors such as water and nutrient availability further constrain this conversion, making it a challenge to meet the food demands of a growing population. This inefficiency stands in contrast with the historical technological advances in machinery and energy, where improved efficiencies have led to significant leaps in capabilities and outputs. Throughout history, increasing the efficiency of energy conversion has been a cornerstone of technical advancement. From steam engines in the Industrial Revolution to modern internal combustion engines, these innovations have maximized energy outputs. Yet, despite these advances in technology, agricultural photosynthesis remains inherently limited. The quest for efficiency in farming thus involves optimizing other inputs, like nutrients and water, which can operate more effectively than the photosynthetic process itself. This relentless push for productivity drives most innovations in food production today. The process of photosynthesis requires plants to harness sunlight to create food. However, unlike efficient solar panels, only a small percentage of the sunlight that reaches the plant is successfully converted into energy through photosynthesis. Factors like temperature, atmosphere, and plant biochemistry all influence this efficiency, which remains lower than what is theoretically possible. Understanding how this natural process operates and its inherent limitations helps in devising methods to improve the growth of crops within the constraints provided by nature. There are three primary pathways in photosynthesis, among which C3 is the most common in staple foods like wheat and rice. Through complex biochemical pathways, CO2 is converted into plant matter, albeit at varying efficiencies. Some crops, like corn and sugarcane, employ a C4 pathway, a more efficient mechanism under certain conditions. These differences in pathways have significant implications for how crops are grown and managed across different climates, impacting productivity and sustainability in agriculture. Water is critical in photosynthesis and overall plant growth. However, the process also leads to significant water loss, as plants open their stomata to absorb CO2, allowing water to escape. With water scarcity posing a major challenge globally, understanding and improving water use efficiency in crops is essential. Advances in irrigation techniques and drought-resistant crop varieties are crucial in addressing this issue, aiming to ensure sustainable agricultural practices that save water while maintaining productivity. For plants to grow and photosynthesize effectively, they require a range of nutrients beyond sunlight, most notably nitrogen. Nitrogen is essential for building proteins and is a critical factor in crop growth. However, nitrogen use in agriculture is inefficient, leading to waste and environmental impacts. Optimizing nutrient management is vital to enhancing plant growth and yield, with strategies focusing on minimizing loss and improving uptake by plants, thereby increasing overall agricultural sustainability. Improving the efficiency of photosynthesis presents substantial scientific and agricultural challenges. The complexity of this ancient process, deeply rooted in plant evolution, limits the capacity for direct intervention. While biotechnology holds some promise for tweaking aspects of the photosynthetic cycle, significant breakthroughs are necessary to re-engineer plant systems fundamentally. Until then, improvements in crop yields are more likely to come from optimizing existing agricultural practices, leveraging advanced genetics, irrigation, and soil management to compensate for photosynthetic inefficiencies. Sugarcane is one of the few crops that convert sunlight efficiently into plant matter. This perennial grass, with its high photosynthetic efficiency, is heavily cultivated in tropical regions. Despite its success in accumulating biomass, the efficiency of converting this into edible sugars is not drastically higher than other crops. Therefore, while sugarcane's photosynthesis showcases higher potential, its value lies more in its renewable growth cycle and utility as a resource for energy and food processing, rather than purely as a consumable crop. Advancements in agricultural water management are crucial to overcoming the inefficiencies in plant water use. Technologies such as precision irrigation and soil moisture sensors allow for tailored water application, ensuring crops receive just the right amount while minimizing waste. In regions prone to drought, these methods, combined with the development of drought-resistant crop varieties, represent the front lines of sustainable water use in agriculture, aiming to maintain output without depleting essential natural resources. Efforts to improve agricultural efficiency extend beyond photosynthesis. With rising populations and climate change posing continuous challenges, there is an urgency to innovate across all facets of food production. Genetic engineering, vertical farming, and permaculture offer pathways to reshape how crops are grown and harvested. These innovations aim not only to increase yields, but also to ensure food security and environmental sustainability, reflecting a holistic approach to agriculture that envisions a resilient future for feeding the world. Humans have chosen only a few animals for domestication due to behavioral and physiological factors. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors began domesticating animals in the Fertile Crescent, picking goats, sheep, and cattle based on size, temperament, and feeding efficiency. Ruminant animals, such as cows, convert low-quality forage into valuable protein. The longevity of these domesticated animals reveals an inadvertent alignment between ancient choices and modern scientific understanding. The biosphere offers an abundance of animal species, but domestication is limited to a select few. Most domestic animals today, including chickens and cattle, are herbivores. Their ability to efficiently convert plant material into protein played a crucial role in their domestication. Chicken populations, for example, vastly outnumber any other birds, aligning with their low energy needs compared to mammals like pigs and cattle. The primary consumers in this hierarchy are those capable of maximizing their caloric intake from available energy sources like plants. When choosing animals to domesticate, size matters in both energy efficiency and caretaking needs. Larger animals like cows have lower specific metabolic rates than smaller ones such as rabbits, making them a more efficient choice for yielding substantial meat. The specific basal metabolic rate of an animal impacts the energy consumed in maintenance versus growth. Consequently, larger mammals emerged as more practical choices throughout history, balancing output and care requirements. Pigs are another favored source of meat due to their relatively balanced size and low-maintenance diet. Despite religious and cultural taboos that restrict pork consumption, pigs remain a dominant source of protein worldwide. Their social adaptability and omnivorous diet make them easy to rear in diverse environments. Yet, given the higher energy costs of producing pork compared to other meats, its dominance is both a marvel of efficiency and a challenge in resource consumption. Cattle stand out as dual-function animals, serving historically as both meat producers and labor sources. Their capacity to provide milk, a vital protein resource, enhanced their domestication appeal. Over centuries, cattle also transitioned from essential workforce animals to prominent meat sources, driven by agricultural advancements. However, their significant environmental demands, land, water, and feed, pose greater long-term sustainability challenges. Global meat consumption patterns shifted dramatically over the last century. With urbanization and technological progress, meat has become more accessible and affordable. The rise of concentrated animal feeding operations, CAFOs, revolutionized meat production, especially for chicken and pork. These industrial farms enabled rapid meat production at lower costs, albeit accompanied by ethical and environmental concerns over animal welfare and resource use efficiency. Aquaculture, or fish farming, increasingly contributes to global protein supplies. Increasing efficiencies propel fish farms as viable alternatives to land-based meat operations. Yet aquaculture faces its own challenges, including ecosystem impacts and resource management, particularly when farming carnivorous species like salmon. While innovation improves feed conversion ratios, the industry's dependence on smaller wild fish for feed remains controversial, and conservation-focused stakeholders push for sustainable practices. Analyzing feed conversion rates highlights the efficiency, or lack thereof, of various meats. Poultry emerges as the most efficient meat, requiring the least energy and material input per edible kilogram. In contrast, beef demands disproportionately more resources, driving calls for dietary shifts to more sustainable protein sources. The challenge remains balancing traditional tastes and environmental feasibility, especially in regions heavily reliant on resource-intensive livestock. The environmental impacts of meat are multifaceted, ranging from greenhouse gas emissions, predominantly from methane-producing ruminants, to habitat loss driven by expansive grazing lands. Shifts toward plant-based diets or more sustainable meat sources could mitigate these effects. Nevertheless, cultural affinity for beef and traditional livestock practices complicate transitions to alternative systems, requiring innovative strategies to lessen footprints and ensure food security. Ethical debates around meat consumption center on animal rights, sustainability, and human health. The dialogue involves conflicting perspectives on animal welfare and the role of meat in diets. While some advocate for a vegan lifestyle as the moral choice, others highlight the mutual human-animal benefits embedded in long-standing agricultural relationships. The ongoing evolution of public opinion necessitates careful balancing of environmental, ethical, and nutritional considerations. Gross domestic product (GDP) often leads as the global barometer for economic success. However, this measure can be misleading. Despite essential needs like food being fundamental to human survival, modern GDP calculations frequently minimize their economic importance. For instance, agriculture's contribution to GDP in affluent countries hovers below 2%. Yet these numbers don't reflect agriculture's indispensable nature in feeding billions. Such calculations often paint a skewed picture, overemphasizing services and tech sectors while downplaying agriculture's role. It serves as a stark reminder of how economic metrics can misinform priority areas in policy and development, neglecting the foundational needs of societies. The economic valuations equating the smartphone industry with staple grain production highlight modern inconsistencies. In 2021, the smartphone market was nearly as valuable as the global wheat and rice output. While tech innovations are integral to modern life, losing a segment of smartphone value would be recoverable. In stark contrast, reducing grain production would lead to catastrophic consequences, including food shortages and mass hunger. This comparison underscores glaring disparities in how modern economies value convenience over necessity, posing crucial questions about our priorities and the dire need to reassess what truly constitutes economic and societal value. Current definitions of agriculture are rooted in traditional farming, often excluding the myriad inputs and outputs shaping modern food systems. Historically, agriculture was limited to land and animal farming. Nowadays, it encompasses fishing, forestry, and vast supply chains supporting food production and delivery. Despite such expansions, economic assessments often underreport agriculture's real contributions. Modern food systems involve sophisticated machinery, global transport networks, and extensive supply chains, all critical yet often discounted in traditional economic metrics. This oversight necessitates redefining agriculture's boundaries to truly reflect its vital role in contemporary economies. The food system's complexity extends far beyond planning and harvesting. It includes procurement of machinery, energy inputs, and logistics, a network crucial to sustaining global economies. For instance, field and livestock operations rely on equipment that spans industries, from manufacturing to chemical production. Fishing and aquaculture involve fleets and advanced gear, all demanding significant resources. These interconnected activities amplify agriculture's true scale and its indispensable function in the global economy. Policymakers need to adopt broader economic measures that consider these dimensions, ensuring sustainable support and recognition of agriculture's comprehensive economic footprint. Agriculture's economic role expands significantly post-harvest, during processing, transportation, and retail. The U.S. agriculture and food industry, when viewed through this comprehensive lens, accounts for over $1 trillion in GDP contributions and employs millions. This holistic assessment elevates agriculture from its underappreciated GDP share to a critical economic pillar. By accounting for every step from farm to table, this approach highlights agriculture's extensive influence across economic sectors. The insight serves as a powerful argument for policies that prioritize infrastructure and innovation, supportive of the entire food supply chain, rather than isolated farm activities. Individuals experience the economic importance of food firsthand, felt through household budgets and expenditures. Engel's law helps illustrate this, noting poorer families spend a larger income percentage on food. While wealthier nations show decreasing food budget shares, the affordability of food doesn't diminish its fundamental need. The price of dining intricately intertwines with lifestyles and economic conditions, reflecting broader economic policies and inequalities. By examining such personal expenditures, we capture nuanced insights into national economic health and available opportunities for alleviating poverty via policies fostering food security and availability. Energy consumption in the food sector illustrates deeper economic ties than monetary metrics suggest. From crop production to transportation and cooking, food-related activities command significant energy resources. The U.S. food system, for instance, claims a substantial portion of national energy use. Recognizing this dependence shifts perspectives on sustainability and energy policies, urging for systemic changes that enhance efficiency across the food supply chain. Proper investments in renewable sources and technological innovations in agriculture could reduce energy footprints, aligning food production with global environmental goals. Agricultural activities exert significant pressure on natural ecosystems, with far-reaching environmental implications. Practices like extensive irrigation and fertilizer application strain water resources and alter nitrogen cycles, while global greenhouse gas contributions from food systems are substantial. Despite representing a small GDP percentage, agriculture often claims significant shares of national environmental resources. These environmental costs, though undercalculated economically, demand immediate attention as sustainable growth imperatives. Reducing agriculture's environmental footprint is pivotal, encouraging innovations in sustainable practices and international cooperation on environmental standards and regulations. The modern food landscape poses health challenges, contributing to obesity's rising economic toll. As lifestyles evolve, dietary changes accompany increased food abundance, leading to costly health outcomes. Countries spend a significant GDP percentage managing health repercussions of obesity. This trend underlines the paradox, where food system success in providing ample calories results in adverse health costs. Addressing this imbalance involves promoting healthier diets and understanding the socioeconomic factors at play, prompting health and economic policy reforms that prioritize nutritional education and accessible healthy food choices. The environmental and economic impacts of food production differ across global regions. In high-income countries, surplus production and waste challenge environmental strategies, while in low-income nations, subsistence farming strains resources inadequately. For example, India's water table depletion contrasts with Dutch nitrogen surplus issues, reflecting diverse policy needs. Recognizing these regional challenges is essential for crafting versatile, effective agricultural policies. Policymakers must adapt strategies addressing unique local conditions, supporting both surplus management in developed economies and resource conservation alongside productivity enhancement in developing regions. The science of nutrition has significantly evolved since the 19th century, leading to a better understanding of dietary needs. Organizations like the World Health Organization create guidelines for essential nutrients, ensuring our diets provide sufficient energy, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. These recommendations vary based on individual factors such as age, sex, and activity levels. Despite the abundance of food in affluent countries, reliable studies reveal actual consumption often falls short due to waste and poor dietary habits. Hence, evaluating one's diet through reputable guidelines remains crucial to meeting essential nutritional needs. Many countries possess a sufficient food supply to meet national needs, yet disparities in nutrient absorption exist. For instance, affluent nations often far exceed the necessary food energy supply, averaging over 3,000 kcal per person daily. In contrast, nations like Ethiopia and Pakistan struggle with food security. Globally, about 10% of people face undernutrition, a significant reduction from past decades. However, the issue persists. Addressing food inequality requires improving distribution and access, particularly for vulnerable communities, rather than merely increased production. Hence, policy efforts should focus on ensuring equitable access to necessary nutrients. Achieving a balanced intake of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats remains a cornerstone of healthy eating. The ideal macronutrient distribution supports sustainable energy and bodily functions. Typically, a balanced diet includes 45 to 65% carbohydrates, 20-35% fats, and 10-35% proteins. While different countries show varied success in meeting these standards, low-income areas often lack adequate protein and fat supplies. Consuming diverse protein sources is beneficial due to varying digestibility and quality. By adhering to these principles, individuals can maintain health and prevent nutrition deficiencies, ultimately promoting longevity and well-being. Extreme dietary trends, such as strict veganism or high-meat diets, often captivate public interest but may not align with optimal health. Health professionals highlight that scientifically, neither approach suits large-scale populations due to nutritional gaps and economic impracticalities. Vegans often face challenges in securing complete protein sources, while excessive meat consumption poses environmental and health risks. Thus, balanced dietary habits offering nutritional variety are valuable for sustainable health, reducing the environmental impact and accommodating more traditional dietary preferences, thus ensuring dietary practices beneficial to both individuals and society. Diet trends emphasizing specific nutrients have surged over recent decades, from high-protein to antioxidant-rich diets. However, grand claims often fall short under scientific scrutiny. Reliable guidelines stress balanced consumption over drastic changes, focusing on comprehensive nutrient intake from real foods. Consistency and moderation trump extreme regimes for long-term health. By basing dietary decisions on credible scientific findings rather than sensationalized fads, individuals can achieve better health outcomes. This approach also discourages reliance on supplement megadoses, promoting a holistic view of nutrition that supports general well-being. Nutritional perspectives evolve over time, highlighted by shifting attitudes towards dietary fats. Once maligned for increasing cardiovascular risk, recent studies reevaluate their role, showing complex interactions with heart health. Not all fats are equal. Individual fatty acids present varying effects. Replacing saturated fats with refined carbohydrates may not yield desired benefits, emphasizing the importance of a balanced diet over restricting specific nutrients. As dietary guidelines adapt, focusing on overall nutrition quality rather than single nutrients emerges as the path forward for maintaining heart health and overall longevity. Curbing ultra-processed foods in favor of real foods delivers better health outcomes. This approach evaluates comprehensive, lifelong dietary effects rather than short-term nutrient intake-focused studies. By monitoring population health and life expectancy related to nutrition, clearer insights emerge. Countries like Japan and Spain exemplify disparate yet successful dietary patterns in boosting longevity. These observations affirm that adhering to general dietary balance rather than specific nutrient fixation ensures long-term health benefits, revealing that various traditional diets can support health when rooted in balance and moderation. Despite abundant global food supplies, micronutrient deficiencies remain widespread, particularly among vulnerable populations in low-income countries. Iron, iodine, zinc, and vitamin A deficiencies are prevalent, affecting growth, immunity, and overall health. Addressing these shortages involves fortifying staple foods and distributing supplements, which proves cost-effective and impactful. Historical initiatives like salt iodization highlight successful outcomes. Ending these deficiencies demands attention, especially in resource-limited regions, as improvements in micronutrient intake have proven to reduce morbidity and mortality significantly, particularly among children and pregnant women. Although global hunger and malnutrition rates have decreased, around 10% of the population still faces food insecurity. The primary issue is unequal access, not inadequate production, often linked to poverty and income disparity. Even affluent nations encounter hunger pockets, highlighting the importance of accessibility. Addressing hunger involves promoting economic measures such as food subsidies or income support, particularly in high-risk areas. Innovative solutions like global food stamps could offer targeted assistance, ensuring access to essentials for society's most vulnerable, ultimately fostering a healthier, more equitable world. To sustain the future of global nutrition, gradual, realistic progress is key. Increasing agricultural productivity in regions like sub-Saharan Africa can elevate food accessibility and reduce import reliance. Technological and policy interventions targeting yield improvements are central to this goal, as is fortifying food systems against socio-political instability. Advanced research and monitoring programs will continue shaping adaptive dietary guidelines, supporting incremental changes and innovation. As societies evolve, balanced dietary habits supported by science will steer the course towards improved health outcomes, encompassing both micronutrient security and comprehensive food access enhancement. Feeding a projected population spike of nearly 2 billion by 2050 is a formidable task. The growth is concentrated in regions already struggling with undernutrition, like sub-Saharan Africa, while developed areas face population stagnation. Solutions span from ramping up food production in undernourished areas to tackling food waste globally. But regional disparities pose challenges, necessitating tailored strategies for different areas. This emphasizes the need for sustainable practices aimed not just at increasing food production, but making existing systems more efficient and equitable. Globally, food wastage is indefensible, occurring across the whole food chain in disparate economies. Developed nations waste due to overconsumption, whereas lack of infrastructure spells spoilage in poorer countries. Addressing this involves policy shifts and innovation in storage and distribution, aiming to cut wastage drastically. Reducing waste is critical, as it leverages existing resources rather than just expanding production, offering immediate relief to hunger issues while conserving environmental resources. The environmental toll of agriculture is undeniable, with the need for extensive inputs and outputs causing significant ecological imbalances. Strategies to address this include reducing intensive farming methods and moderating meat consumption, especially in developed countries. Encouraging sustainable practices like reduced chemical usage and enhanced crop diversity are pivotal. However, such transformations face resistance due to entrenched practices and economic interests, challenging us to balance progress and tradition. Predicting the state of agriculture by 2050 remains speculative. Historical perspectives underscore the unpredictability of societal and technological shifts. Changes in major players like China and India underscore how unforeseen factors can drastically alter agricultural landscapes. Therefore, while current trends and technologies guide future projections, flexibility and adaptability must define future frameworks to accommodate inevitable surprises. Organic farming frequently emerges as a purported panacea for modern agriculture's ills. However, the complete transition to organic cultivation faces skepticism. Detractors point to significant yield gaps and resource impacts, with organic yields trailing traditional methods by about 20 to 25%. While organic practices promise reduced environmental impacts, the reality of their global scalability and ability to feed burgeoning populations remains contentious. Realistically, organic farming suits niche applications rather than large-scale global needs. Permaculture and polyculture offer visions of sustainable farming through less invasive, nature-aligned practices. These approaches promise reduced soil degradation and improved water retention. Yet, they face practical challenges, chiefly in scalability and yield consistency. Innovations like perennial strains of wheat and rice inch forward slowly, with significant hurdles to overcome before they can meaningfully contribute to global food supplies. As promising as they are, substantial breakthroughs are needed for them to compete with conventional methods. Genetic modification promises revolutionary strides in crop productivity, aiming at plants that can self-supply nutrients or harness solar energy more efficiently. Yet progress remains in embryonic stages, with commercial viability years, if not decades, away. Ethical and regulatory debates also cloud the horizon, especially in regions wary of GMOs. While the scientific potential is vast, immediate reliance on genetically engineered food staples to bolster global nutrition and sustainability faces significant scientific and societal hurdles. Cultured meat represents a futuristic approach to protein production, potentially alleviating environmental burdens of traditional livestock farming. Despite promising developments, mass-scale production confronts technical, economic, and cultural barriers. Initial success stories spark curiosity, but technological scaling remains a formidable challenge to achieving competitive pricing and public acceptance. While optimistic projections abound, practical realities suggest that cultured meats are part of a longer-term transformation rather than a quick fix. The techno-economic landscape for agricultural innovation is complex. The interplay of market forces, policy interventions, and technological capabilities outlines future trajectories for industry shifts. Advances promising sustainability still require immense investment, coupled with unpredictable returns. A sober assessment calls for balancing optimism with feasibility, recognizing that while breakthroughs offer theoretical solutions, their practical application demands industry-wide adaptations and governmental support to navigate inherent limitations. While skepticism often critiques overhyped breakthroughs, pragmatic optimism highlights steady advancements in traditional areas. Incremental improvements in yield efficiency and waste reduction showcase realistic avenues for impactful change. The convergence of proven methods and cautious innovation defines a more balanced approach. The future of food necessitates nuanced strategies, marrying ambition with field-proven solutions, ensuring sustainability while tackling the intricacies of global food security. Feeding a growing population doesn't necessitate groundbreaking innovations. Instead, we can optimize existing agricultural practices. By improving crop rotations, increasing soil organic content, and adopting precision agriculture technologies, farmers can enhance yields without further harming nature. It's a strategy that promotes agricultural productivity while conserving resources like water and soil. This section underscores the importance of precision agriculture, which employs technologies like GPS to optimize field operations and minimize environmental impacts. For example, drones can now monitor soil nutrients, allowing farmers to apply fertilizers only when necessary. Adapting these proven methods on a broader scale could lead to significant improvements in global food security. Reducing food waste is perhaps the easiest way to increase food availability without exerting additional pressures on the environment. Astonishingly, nearly a third of all food produced globally is discarded. This waste involves precious resources, like water and energy, used in growing, processing, and transporting the food. Simple interventions such as better packaging, informed consumer choices, and awareness campaigns can drastically reduce this wastage. Moreover, addressing waste actions in both households and food service industries presents an almost cost-free opportunity to expand the effective food supply. By cutting down on waste, we can ensure that more food reaches the tables of those who need it most, fostering a culture of sustainability and responsibility. Modifying dietary habits can have a profound effect on environmental sustainability. For example, consuming less red meat and more chicken can significantly lower agricultural demand, as chicken production requires far fewer resources. This change is already happening in many Western countries where health and environmental awareness are on the rise. Encouraging this trend could lead to a decrease in the need for high-energy animal foods, thereby reducing greenhouse gas emissions and land use. This section emphasizes the role of conscious consumption and how small shifts in eating patterns contribute to significant ecological benefits and a healthier population. The integration of cutting-edge technologies in agriculture, like precision farming and remote sensing, can revolutionize how we cultivate crops. These technologies allow for real-time analysis of soil conditions and plant health, enabling farmers to make data-driven decisions that optimize yield. In this context, investing in infrastructure and services to support smallholder farmers, particularly in regions like Africa, becomes crucial. This technological shift does not only enhance precision but also scales efficiency, allowing for more sustainable agricultural practices. Such innovations aim to provide locally appropriate solutions that empower farmers worldwide to grow more food with fewer inputs. Improving crop selections by focusing on varieties that are more resilient to environmental stresses can significantly bolster food security. This section explores potential breakthroughs like drought-resistant rice and wheats that can thrive in varying climates. Such advancements help in optimizing land use while ensuring high productivity. Additionally, this approach involves continuous and gradual genetic improvements of major cultivars to enhance their adaptation to local conditions. This will be pivotal in confronting the unique agricultural challenges posed by climate change, promising a stable food supply for future generations without needing to expand farmland or deforest more areas. Healthy soil is the foundation of productive agriculture and ecosystem sustainability. By implementing practices like crop diversification and organic matter replenishment, we can enhance soil fertility and structure. The use of cover crops and mulching practices helps in retaining moisture, reducing erosion, and sequestering carbon. Efforts to maintain the soil's organic content not only boost yields, but also offer a natural solution to carbon emissions, as soil acts as a massive carbon sink. This section explores how investing in soil health can ensure long-term agricultural productivity, ecological stability, and climate mitigation. Effective water management is crucial not only for increasing crop yield, but also for conserving our planet's most precious resource. Precision irrigation technologies, such as drip systems, help minimize water waste and optimize its use. This section details how controlling water inputs and improving irrigation techniques can significantly raise agricultural efficiency. Moreover, such practices reduce stress on aquifers and minimize waterlogging and soil salinization issues common in arid regions. These targeted interventions not only save water, but also contribute to healthier crops and ecosystems, making agriculture more sustainable and climate resilient. The global food supply chain must become more resilient and less wasteful. This means reducing food loss during production, transport, and storage. Advanced logistics and better food management practices can help in staving off spoilage, ensuring that food reaches consumers more efficiently. Adapting to local needs and reducing unnecessary steps in the supply chain can cut down on food miles and energy consumption. Such measures aim to streamline the process from farm to fork, optimizing resource use and minimizing waste across the food supply network, ultimately stabilizing food provision worldwide. Policies that promote sustainable agriculture and food consumption are critical to mitigating environmental impacts. Regulatory frameworks encouraging reduced meat consumption and food waste can drive societal change. Simultaneously, educating consumers about the environmental costs of their dietary choices can spark shifts toward sustainability. As consumer behavior aligns more closely with policy objectives, a feedback loop emerges that fosters a more sustainable global food system. This section addresses how policy, combined with collective societal efforts, can lead to a significant reduction in agriculture's environmental footprint while securing food resources for future generations. Despite overall advances in agriculture, food insecurity remains prevalent in parts of the world, particularly sub-Saharan Africa. This section highlights the need for focused efforts to bridge yield gaps and support smallholder farmers with resources, education, and technology. By tackling inefficient farming practices and leveraging improved agricultural techniques, regions lagging in food security can achieve greater self-sustenance. Equally important are international collaborations that strengthen infrastructures like storage facilities and market access, ensuring that all nations can partake in global food markets. Ensuring equity in food production and distribution is key to creating a world where everyone has access to nutritious and abundant food.